Hey everyone, I am here actually in London, England. I'm on a travel study trip for a couple of weeks over winter break. Really cool opportunity, I'm having fun. We just came back from actually an American sports bar watching the Chelsea game. They didn't do too well, but they're having a good season, so it's an improvement over last year. Um, while I had this on my mind, I wanted to go ahead and get this out here, out of my head. And so I want to talk a little bit about my personal pro life story, where I've gotten to where I am now, why I have those beliefs. And I'm going to try to be brief, but if you know me, brevity is not always one of my virtues. So I'm just going to go into it. I was raised in a pro life family, um, have pretty much always had those beliefs, but a lot of times, like when kids are raised with a certain belief, they don't always exactly know why or know the full circumstance around what would lead to making an important decision like that. But I've pretty much always been pro life, but I don't think it's a good reason to give for really anything by just saying, well, I was raised in that home. It's always been that way for me. My parents are that. I don't think that's a good enough reason to give, and it's not going to get you very far with people who disagree with you. So you really need to know why you believe these things and be able to defend that. And so that's something that I've been on more as I've gotten older. Um, I would always help out. We had a CareNet, we didn't call it CareNet, but a CareNet facility around my hometown that my dad served on the board of, and he was involved in the men's ministry there. He eventually left that, but he's since gone to the National Conference for CareNet and presented his stuff on men's ministries because there's really not a whole lot around for it. So I was always around that sort of thing. Um, wasn't didn't fully know that much about it. It was probably, I think it was eighth grade, possibly seventh, but I believe eighth, that I was arguing with another student about abortion. I was saying, well, it's wrong. They say, well, it's okay, for as much as junior high kids knew about the subject. But I was looking up information on the internet when I ran across actual victim imagery. Um, and at that point, I was really shocked by it. Contrary to what some abortion proponents will tell you, I was not permanently scarred, nor do I have any lasting issues from seeing those images. But it was the first time for me, and I was, more than anything, um, concerned, angered at what was going on. Not angry that I saw it, but angry that it was going on, which is a reaction that you would hope people would have, and seemingly what more younger people will have as opposed to more hardened people that have been advocating abortion for a long time. So, went through high school, never had a whole lot of conversations about the subject, honestly. Um, so I got to college, and before I, at my orientation for college, I had run into the table for our Right to Life group on NKU's campus, and it was a couple guys there. And I'm like, well, I don't know, if this is it, if it's going to be a small group and it's mostly going to be guys, not because I was looking for a girl, but because, um, unfortunately, people will tend to listen to women more on the subject than men, because again, abortion proponents will tell them that it's an issue that doesn't affect men, it doesn't concern men. But my first week as we were looking at student organizations, I actually ran into women that were involved with it, and they seemed normal, I guess is the word. A lot of times when you see people, not a lot of the time, sometimes when you see people in pro-life work or in Christian youth groups or something, they're kind of odd. If they've been sheltered or just have to get out there crazy somehow, I'm not sure, but you can run into some odd people when you're dealing with things like that, but they seemed pretty normal, so they're inviting people to a movie showing of October Baby, and I really liked the movie. I've seen it again since. I think especially for the low budget that this sort of movies get, I thought it was well done. So I started coming to the meetings, got involved. It would have been probably October, maybe even September when we voted on it. A group from the Center for Bioethical Reform, they have their Genocide Awareness Project that they bring through different college campuses, and I believe cities as well. The director, at least in this area, Fletcher Armstrong, he was the one that came and made the presentation, and I had always kind of been taught that victim imagery was not a good tactic to use, that it would scar people, offend people, really didn't work. It just made people mad at you, it made you seem too radical. So that, again, was kind of the belief that I had held, but didn't really know why. Actually, let me back that up. Before CBR came, the group that I work with now, Created Equal, came to our campus, and we were told that they were going to be here. They came separate from us, and our president and vice president recommended at least going to see them, offer support because it was a pro-life group coming to campus, and check them out. So I said, well, yeah, sure, I'll do that. So I went up right after I got out of class, like around noon or so, and there were only two people there, and they were both talking. So I stood there with another friend of mine who's now also involved with the group, and we were just kind of watching things happen. Another girl that was just there and wanted to help them came up and was talking to us. And so later on, I think I might have went and worked out or something, which you can tell that was a long time ago then. But I was coming back from something, and I knew they were going to be done pretty soon, so I went ahead and went over there again, and it was a lot quieter, so I went up and talked to the woman there, and honestly I thought she was like a college student going around doing it, which is a compliment to her, but so I didn't mention that I was kind of hesitant about the way it was done. I just thanked her for being there, and then she mentioned something called a justice ride that they do over spring break, and they go to different college campuses and set up stuff like that. And so I took the brochure and I'm like, whatever, probably not, because I'm not really sure about this. I don't really know what I would want to do over spring break. I'm not sure that would be it. So I put the brochure in my backpack, didn't think a whole lot more about it. So then fast forward to CBR, and they gave a presentation on the history of victim imagery and why they use it. And that was really the first time that it actually made sense to me why they use that. And the thing that I was wondering was how effective it was in using it, because I had never seen that firsthand. So I ended up working with them those 2 days that they were on campus for as much as I could, help them set up and tear down mostly. I could only make it to one of the training nights, so I stood out there and did as much as I could with them. And I was still really new to more broad apologetics as opposed to just knowing more of the facts. Wasn't really sure how to approach a conversation. Wasn't exactly sure on how to defend the use of victim imagery, because I had just sort of made that shift. But it was a pretty good experience. I got to see kind of what they go through, what's involved with it. So it was, I don't know how long it was after that, but I just happened, I think I was cleaning out my backpack, and I ran across my Created Equal brochure, and it tripped my memory of her saying something about a spring break trip. So I got on and emailed Jamie and asked her if it was too late to sign up, asked her some stuff about it. And I'm sure I probably was really bugging her, because I remember asking her a lot of different stuff, emailing her multiple times, trying to figure stuff up about it. And I said I would definitely pray about it and see what I should do. And so that, around that time is when we put up the Cemetery of Innocence display on campus, which I didn't actually help put it up. I'm not sure that I helped take it down either, but I was on guard for a night or maybe two. I was just trying to keep people from stealing stuff or destroying stuff like they've done in the past. And you realize, even in a pro-life group that's not doing things very controversial, the subject itself is just controversial, and that will cause, I don't want to say cause, because it's not our fault that people make the choice, but that will lead to hoodlums going around and trashing different things. But I had forgotten really that it was up. I hadn't been past it a whole lot. And I was walking, this really I think was only the second night that I had said, alright, I'm going to pray about this and see. And so I was walking around campus, coming back from something, I don't remember what. And I was just kind of praying about it as I walked, and I started walking up the long flight of stairs between our law building and Founders Hall, like across from the library. And as I'm walking up these steps and praying, this Cemetery of Innocence comes into view, which has a cross for every 10 children that are killed by abortion every day. And I'm like, I need to go on this. And so I ended up getting the application all together, and then I told my parents that I feel like I'm being led to go on this, and then they had a lot of questions, so kind of the process was getting delayed because obviously I'm not at home, so it's hard to talk to them, and I'm trying to figure stuff out. But eventually I got applied and was accepted, I found out that the other Joe, my partner in crime, also was going on it, and well, actually, as we were applying, we kind of were trading ideas and stuff. And um, so you went to the March for Life in January, and I thought it was my first time experiencing it, and it was really cold, but it was, a good time overall. I really enjoyed the conference that we went to. I was able to kind of learn more about that. I had fun with the people around and ran into a couple times people from Created Equal and was introduced to them, um, including the director of apologetics was there, probably over a half dozen people that I went on the first Justice Ride with were there. And so March came around, and other Joe was packed like a week before we left. I went over to see people that were going on another missions trip, and he calls me and he's like, "We're leaving in like an hour. Are you ready?" I'm like, "Well, I gotta go pack, and I'm across campus right now." And he was sort of flipping out, but I can get ready pretty quickly, so we went. We stayed in one of his friends' houses there, and then kind of dove into everything, got the training done once we arrived in Florida, and then from there I just sort of started to pick it up slowly, having I remember at first it was slower progress, just having these conversations, kind of a trial and error in some aspects, making some mistakes. But eventually I personally saw, I believe it was 3 people's minds changed on it. Talked to a wide range of people, and then of course other people were able to see minds change as well. And it was just cool to be able to experience that with people that had that same conviction as me, that were my peers, and made a lot of friends on that trip. After that, I've been to Pittsburgh, Columbus, Cincinnati multiple times. I just somewhat recently, went to Indianapolis. Of course, I went on the Summer Justice Ride, which went through the Deep South. So I've been able to do a fair amount of traveling with this group now. I know there was an instance in Nashville where I was able to talk to a guy that was around my age, had a lot of different problems going on. It was the first time he had seen the images, so he was horrified by it. But I was able ultimately to witness to him, and said that he was a Christian, so I was able to pray with him and encourage him to get involved with the church there, and to build accountability for the problems he was having. When I was in Cincinnati, there were several people that came up that definitely would not seem like your stereotypical pro-life person, which I don't really think there is one, but it was guys that had grown up in some of the rougher neighborhoods of Cincinnati and were just horrified that that's what abortion really was, and that was the reality of it. Another a friend of a friend of mine I know was pregnant and was considering an abortion, and I don't know how much a part I had of it, but I was able to share with her some of those facts, encourage her, give her resources, and she ended up choosing to keep her child. So there's just a lot of stories like that. There's a lot of stories that other people can tell, but really that's been within a year that I've really gotten involved with things. Maybe a little more than a year if you would count my initial work when GAP came. But it's been a good journey overall. Certainly I've been called a lot of different names. Most of the time you kind of expect people to, it's kind of the cliche names that people will throw out, the different little trite things or the things. Occasionally you'll be a little surprised, like, haven't heard that one before. But, despite the insults and kind of hatred thrown at someone that does this sort of a thing, it's been a lot of good conversations. You meet a lot of pro-life people from all around the country, and also you definitely make a lot of pro-life friends who are in the same sort of thing and really want to be involved just like you. So it's a continuing journey. I'm going to be going to the March for Life again this January, going on another Justice Ride in March, and just kind of go from there, see whatever ways I can be involved, and looking forward to what else is in store through this. So I don't know, I would say it probably wasn't brief, but comparing how long I could have gone, you can think of it as brief. But I hope you all have a good new year. I hope there's a lot of good things in store, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of this trip that I have. So I appreciate all of you that have been praying, and I'm not looking forward to getting back to school yet because I don't want to wish away this trip. When I do get back, then I'll be able to focus on school and be like, yeah, get to see friends again and stuff. So anyway, thank you for listening to this. I hope it's something that has, probably wouldn't say inspiring, but at least something that maybe has motivated you to get involved in some way as well. If there are questions on it of really, I didn't really get into the apologetics of exactly why I am pro-life, just that I actually have my own conviction about it now. So if you have any questions on that, let me know, drop a comment, or if you know me, you just ask me. And have a good day, have a good year. I'm sure I'll see a lot of you around.